Is the FBI moving to block the release of secret Jeffrey Epstein files? The Bureau asked a New York judge to agree to the, quote, categorical withholding of files containing previously unheard testimony and witness statements from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. This, according to K News. Maureen Comey, one of the prosecutors leading the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, and the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, claims that the release of such information could impact Maxwell's current appeal.
Comey wrote, quote, premature public disclosure could reasonably be expected to influence potential jurors' perceptions of the witnesses and the evidence to be presented at trial. So what do you make of the G-men's excuse here for not publicizing the information they have yet again?
Yeah, it's difficult because the article implies that there are additional witnesses that weren't called, that are additional victims or gave testimony relating to additional victims. And it is unclear to me, just based on what we have reported out so far, how the prosecutor would be negatively biased by awareness that there were more victims, or that, you know, the victim statements that further inculpated Jeffrey Epstein. With respect to Ghislaine Maxwell, she's alleging that she was tried as a scapegoat, as a proxy, she says, for Epstein, who, of course, was deceased and was no longer able to, quote, satisfy public outrage by being convicted in a court of law. So there might be some interest in her saying, well, look at all of his victims. That was a him issue. This has nothing to do with me. Maybe that is part of the prosecutor's concern. But, of course, the suspicion is that given how powerful Epstein was and how far his reach was and how many incredibly influential, wealthy, and high-profile and politically connected people he had engaged with, that it will simply be an embarrassment to them. And then that's what's driving the secrecy around this case. Yeah.
There was also some reporting that her house sold for millions of dollars, but apparently her ex-husband gets all of that. And she's alleging that she had jewelry that was stolen and doesn't have any money left now in order to afford a proper legal defense. I don't think anybody is shedding too many tears over her for that. Yeah, I mean, thousands of indigent people avail themselves of public defenders, and it's not because their jewelry was stolen. Right. So, I mean, I don't mean to, I think that people should have effective counsel. I think that we need to fund public defenders' offices better. I don't think that having a public defender should mean you have a lower quality of defense. I think that they are overburdened, and I would support that. But it is hard to... And a speedy trial, to be in limbo for, I mean, this matter's been taking years now. I remember discussing Ghislaine Maxwell with Ryan Grimm sitting in that chair. That's going to be like 2 years ago now. Yeah. I mean, she is convicted, right? We talked about her leading yoga classes and things like that on the inside. I do think that the issue here is whether or not the release documents will affect a potential appeal, right? So she's making these claims that she's collateral damage here and wanting to appeal, feeling like she's been that her 20-year jail term is. Well, she's facing another criminal trial for allegedly lying under oath. So they're still, again, they can still, everything you say so your attempts to defend you end up being an obstruction of justice or a perjury kind of thing. So then they, I'm not, obviously I think she is extremely guilty of the underlying offense of helping, to funnel underage sex-trafficked young women for Jeffrey Epstein, but there's always there's something about dragging it out and charging you with additional things that are just always, no matter who it is, rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder. I mean, we've been covering the Virgin Islands trial. It does seem like some of these cases that weirdly are happening outside of the mainland U.S. at the very least, seem to have been more effective at getting certain kind of document disclosures out in the public record. They forced the kind of just the admission from Bill Gates about him having had an affair, a legal consensual affair, but an affair nonetheless. We've been talking about some of the email correspondence with senior executives at J.P. Morgan who are being accused of having
known or that they should have known about Epstein's activities, and that the bank facilitated those activities by continuing to work with him and provide him with liquidity while he was engaging with underage girls. And so I do wonder, it is curious that seems to be the vehicle by which more information, at least recently, has been coming out as opposed to these American trials. But, it will be interesting to watch to see if the FBI is forced to make any additional disclosures, because there is this cloud of mystery that's been hanging over it all.
Also interesting that the prosecutor, Maureen Comey, that's James Comey's daughter. So you wonder if, she was raised in a family that, is on board with keeping the FBI's,
secrets
behind closed doors kind of thing, and she's the person in charge of bringing this case.
I had no idea.
I don't think that impacts it from a she was going to be soft on that's not the issue, but maybe there will be deference to the FBI's interest in internal FBI keeping things secret out of habit. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I did not realize that she was involved in this case at all.
I mean, well, now that we bring it up, I feel maybe I remember. Maybe we mentioned it before. Maybe it was Ryan. I don't know.
A 6-year trial to convict Ghislaine Maxwell. So I wouldn't fault you for not having a clear memory of the things that were happening back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll continue to
follow this. Yes.
Yeah, as the new details come out, and we will have more Rising for you right after this.